know we're commemorating a horrific event that happened. It didn't just happen. We can't say it was done. People were left starving and they were let die in 1849 on a long walk from Louisburgh to Doolough and back to Louisburgh again. And it's very important that we remember that. It's also important that we actively commemorate it by pointing out similar injustices happening in the world around us today. It's a significant item to ponder that Ireland was the country where the word boycott was first invented. It didn't exist before. The word came from a landlord's agent, Captain Charles Boycott, because people tried to think of what word do you use to try to describe socially, judicially, institutionally, commercially, isolate people who are guilty of an injustice. And that's how the word boycott came about. The ghastly events in Gaza demand that we have the voice of Palestine here today on the 30th Afri Famine Walk.
This year and this month we commemorate 70 years of ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, when in 1948 more than 750,000 of my people were ethnically cleansed, forcibly to be moved from their home for the establishment of the State of Israel. These people became the largest refugees in the whole world. More than 7 million refugees around the world.
I feel so privileged that myself being here talking to the people, telling them about my people's plight, and Afri for supporting all through the years the injustice around the world, and now the Palestinian cause. And it's of course resonate well with the Irish people. Everybody says back home in Palestine that Palestinians, Irish people won't struggle. They do understand what people in Palestine are suffering at the moment from the occupation, colonization. It happened here in Ireland and it's happening in Palestine.
I think the Famine Walk had a lot of meaning at the time, in the sense that when I done it 30 years ago, you had an opportunity to experience Irish famine in a way that I never experienced before. But now when you come back after the experience I had in Africa and seeing the impact of poverty and experiencing it firsthand, in many ways you can relate in a much more profound way to the suffering that people in Ireland experienced at the time. That injustice still exists today, and I think, isn't it fantastic that the memories of those people that died tragically has been used in a way to raise awareness around the rights of people in other parts of the world that suffer, you know. I think the famine and the suffering that resulted from the famine is in our genes, it's in our psyche. You can't disconnect the tremendous suffering of the past from how we think and feel today, because it's just handed down generation after generation. I definitely think the generosity that exists in this island, the desire to respond, that genuine outpouring of concern and compassion for others, I think it's rooted in our historical experience.
It's absolutely amazing just to be able to retrace those footsteps of the people who made those journeys. It's very spiritual, very emotional. This was over 100 years ago. Why can we still relate to it today? Why is there still so much of this happening with direct provision? We're not only isolated and segregated from the community, but simple things like being able to access food when you want food, or prepare food when you want to prepare food, to have it restricted. That's why probably I can relate to so much with what happened during the time of the famine, but to have to oppress someone to that extent for an indefinite amount of time is just heartbreaking. It's not healthy for the country. It's not healthy for the children that are growing up in that system. It's not healthy for the grown-ups and the parents that are living in that system. It's scary to think, especially with the children, what kind of generation is being bred. You know, what kind of children we're going to have as adults in the near future if we continue to allow things like this to happen, like direct provision, like institutionalized living.
I'd like to stand here in deep, deep respect for Afri and for the work that they do, and to say thank you to Joe for bringing me into the fold. I'm really, really deeply privileged to be here, so thank you so much. Steeped in history, in memory, in music, and in solidarity, we'd love to share this piece of music with you. It's a song I wrote called Shelter, and Ecdera Allah, at the end of the day, with all the troubles that we experience, we have to remember to find a way, because we all live under the same sky. This is the town we leave behind. Frozen still and kind. On our way to who knows where. To a place I used to know.
For myself, I'm a great supporter of Afri in whatever small capacity I can do that. I think it's a fabulous organisation, and I love the idea that it's action from Ireland.
This is my third Afri walk, and it's just a very contemplative, reflective, physical thing to do, and it's great how Afri link and remind us of the history of Ireland as a colony and a famine that need not have happened, and relate that to other people suffering now. It's a real mistake to forget that history and to kind of fast track into the centre of empire, since we really come from the fringe of it, and we should be thinking of the Palestinians and the Syrians and others who are experiencing the brutality of empire on the fringe where we used to occupy.
Before 2013, we never came to Delphi Lodge, but in 2013, Michael Wade welcomed us. So there was a very significant and emotional moment when we walked through the gates of Delphi Lodge, carrying the names of the people who had died in 1849 and the names of people who die in famine today. And we planted a tree and we planted potatoes. It was a moment really of historic healing, I felt. And since then, we've always come to Delphi Lodge and we've always been welcomed.
It was a very touching day. It was a very memorable day when we finally opened the gates and welcomed the Famine Walk 5 years ago. Realistically, we can't change history, we all know that, but what you're doing today, the symbolism of coming here, acknowledging a healing process and walking for the same reason, to keep in the minds of everybody that the injustice that led to the Irish famine, unfortunately, is still happening in the world today. So we can't change history, but surely to God, we can be big enough to use it to help change today and tomorrow. You're all very welcome and enjoy the walk, and you're always welcome. Thank you.
Alas and well may Erin weep when Connacht lies in slumber deep. There lake and plain smile fair and free, mid rocks their guardian chivalry. Sing, oh, let man learn liberty from crashing winds and lashing sea. The chainless wave and lovely land, freedom nationhood demand. Be sure the great God never planned mid slumbering waves a home so grand. And long and brave and haughty race, honoured and sentinel the place. Sing, oh, not even their son's disgrace can quite destroy their glorious race.